Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. This is the Enlan EL04. And you do need to know that it's an Enlan, which means it's manufactured in China. You're buying directly from the manufacturer. So no walking into a store. You're going to have to order this. And it's going to take some time to get here because China's a long way away. And, for example, this had free shipping. So, you're not going to get it overnight. If it's free shipping, it's going to be the lowest possible cost you can do. So you pay your money, you wait about a month, maybe a month and a half, and then you get your knife in the mail. And what do you get? Well, in this case, you get a 4.8 ounce knife with a 3 3/8 inch blade and a 4 5/8 inch handle. The width on that handle for putting it in your pocket is 5/8 of an inch, so it's a little thicker, although that does add considerably to the comfort of using this knife for any length of time. What else do you want to know? The blade is a drop point blade with a high flat grind. As you can see, it's not full flat, but a high flat grind. It does have very good functional jimping, and it's manually deployed via these thumb studs, which are quite easy to access and give you no issues whatsoever. The handle is micarta scales, which is very, very nice. It does have an axis lock, which of course is proprietary to Benchmade, but because copyright laws are a little different in China, they can use that and not have any issues with it. And I'll come back to that in a second. Let's just get over the overall description. There is a pivot screw here, and it's got this crazy proprietary screw head, which probably the best bet is just to get a cutting tool, cut a slot in that so you can use a regular screwdriver to adjust it. Pocket clip is single position, and the lanyard hole is quite good in terms of, you could easily fit some 550 cord through there. The scales themselves are micarta, and man, I just love micarta scales. They're so grippy, they're so comfortable, and even if they get wet, if there's a little dampness, sweat or water or whatever, they maintain their grippiness very, very well, unlike some materials that get wet and then really slick. So that's a real plus. I really like those scales. Overall, the knife is, I would class it a medium-sized folding knife. Very comfortable to have in your pocket. Very functional. I've cut a bunch of stuff, everything from wood to cutting up vegetables for stir fry and everything in between. Paper, cardboard, board stock, all that stuff. And the knife has performed well in all those situations. The HCR13 MOV held an edge really well. One day when I was doing some really heavy cutting with it, I had to sharpen it at the end of the day. But for most, everyday carry use, you're probably going to get away with a week and a half, 2 weeks before you need to touch the blade up a little bit. And that's assuming you're not going home and stropping it at night, which is a good idea. I just don't do it because I don't have my strop put together yet, but I've got all the materials. Just working on it. Anyway, the one thing I do need to say about this knife is that the axis lock is tight. Now, there is a video out there that mentioned, well, if you just, put a screwdriver in that little slot you can see on that little button, you can loosen or tighten that. And that's only partially true. Yes, you can loosen or tighten this dimension. You're actually loosening off or tightening essentially a bolt on this, which is a screw, a screw inside of a post. Well, that does nothing to change the tension on the omega spring, and the omega spring tension is the issue here. That's what makes it so tight, and so there's not really much you can do about it. But you only paid $17 for this knife, so it's not that big of a deal as far as I'm concerned. If that's if you just feel like you really, really have to have an axis lock that's really, really easy to actuate and really smooth, go ahead and buy a Benchmade. It's not really reasonable to expect $150 performance out of a $17 blade, right? And so, yeah, is this lock much easier to actuate? Oh, yeah. And in fact, when you do them side by side this way, you go, whoa, it's a night and day difference between the two of them. But there's a night and day difference between the price of the two of them as well. And so if you want that super smooth, high-end, perfect tolerance axis lock, buy a Benchmade. If you just like an axis lock because it's a decent lock and you'd like to flip your knife open and closed all the time, this is just perfect. You just pretty much are going to have to use 2 fingers all the time. So this is the way I do it. I always have to use those 2 fingers. I have tried and tried to do it with one, and I just can't get it. So maybe your hand is different than mine in some way, and you'll be able to actuate yours, or maybe yours will be slightly different. You know, the tolerances may be here and there a little bit on those locks, and so maybe yours will work fine. But that it's just a tight. The Omega springs are very tight. Okay, and that's been across the board. Everybody I've seen talk about an Enlan knife with these Omega springs in it has talked about the fact that this axis lock is really, really tight, which is, you know, that's fine. You know, for the amount of money you pay for this blade, you can't really complain about that kind of a little nitpicky thing. If you paid a lot of money for a blade, yeah, every detail should be perfect. But for 17 bucks, right? My overall impressions on this knife are excellent. It's very comfortable to use. Extremely valuable. I mean, you know, for 17 bucks, you're not going to get a blade of this quality anywhere. So if what you're looking for is a knife that you can carry with you all the time, that'll perform all of the EDC tasks that you need to get done and will do them pretty well, this is a great option. I would say especially a great option if you do any kind of things that might break your knife. Or if you're going somewhere where it might get lost, or anything where, you know, if you're a little concerned about that, for 17 bucks, buy 3 of them, and, you know, if one breaks, pitch it and pull out the other one. Also, I'm going to suggest that these Chinese knives, now some of them are copies, okay? And if someone is claiming to give you something that they're not giving you, so, you know, for example, if you go on AliExpress and search Spyderco Paramilitary, you get a paramilitary for 35 bucks. Obviously, that's not a real Spyderco paramilitary, even though it's being labeled and sold as one. Now, that's unethical, and so don't do that. Enlan is not giving you any kind of indication. They're not saying this is a Benchmade anything. They're not making any claims that go above their station. You know what you're getting when you buy this knife, so no one's being hurt, even Benchmade, because no one who's buying this knife is like, man, I was going to buy a Griptilian, but then I saw this Enlan knife and bought it instead. No. If you want a Griptilian, you want a Griptilian. And I demonstrated one of the reasons you might because of the quality of that axis lock, the fit and finish on the knife. This is not a Griptilian, it's by Barrage, but it does have the same lock. So I was using it as an example. What I'm going to say is great knife for a really good price. And just keep in mind, you're going to have to go on eBay and you're going to have to wait about a month and a half to get yours if you decide that you like this knife. They have a couple other colors in the micarta, so if this one isn't exactly what you want, you can take a look for something else. Have fun, and I've got to say, I'm glad I have this blade, and I'll try to get a couple of other Chinese knives. I'm not in a huge rush, and it's a good thing because they don't get here quickly. But you'll probably see me throw a couple of others, maybe a Senren Mew and a Gonzo up here, just to give an impression of those as well. So that's my take on the Enlan EL04. There's one last look at the blade and the handle and all that kind of stuff. And hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.